Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? Ways, where we discuss all the topics in the news and, of course, how it affects us. I'm Mary Anacon and I'm so glad to introduce to you my co-anchor, Mercy Ababa.
Gracias, gracias, gracias.
Welcome,
Thank you.
welcome, welcome.
Thank
How was your
you.
weekend?
It's been fantastic. Of course, I had a party over the weekend. A little bit of wine
These
here
are
and
people that are
there.
living the life. No money, no money. You enjoy yourself.
Just a little bit of socializing, trying to burn off steam and all of that. Networking, meeting people, and trying to forget about the Nigerian wahala.
Right
That
after the
keeps.
party, the Wahala comes back.
Oh
Yes,
yeah.
he rears his ugly head.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
that's lovely.
Yeah.
I think I spent my weekend in bed, literally.
Okay.
I went out for a walk. I went all the way down to Koyi Bridge and back.
I saw your picture.
Yes, I
I saw
did
your
8.9 kilometers. Yes, it's me, baby.
I know.
Yeah, but right after that, I didn't step out of my house till today. I'm learning. I'm at that age where I'm learning to enjoy. I've always enjoyed my own company, but I'm at that age where sometimes I just want to stay in,
I can relate.
spend some time with myself, just be a couch potato for once. But it doesn't mean that, once in a while I can't go partying or,
Yeah.
a little whining and dining with the friends. But
Yeah, very
it was a
necessary.
beautiful weekend. Now, here's what we found as today's quote. A genius of impeachment lay in the fact that could punish the man without punishing the office. I'll take it again. The genius of impeachment lay in the fact that it could punish the man without punishing the office. And this was said by Offer Schlesinger. Well, I mean, impeachment.
Taking it right there.
Impeachment is, if you ask me, it has become a political tool of sorts that is used by politicians of like minds to punish someone who's gone against their maybe their rules or is not dancing to their tune. Initially, the impeachment, from what I know, I've spoken to a law professor who said that was put in the Constitution to be able, for us to be able as citizens to hold our leaders accountable. If they're not doing what they're supposed to do, we have the right to impeach them and then, go through the process. But in Nigeria, we've seen that legislators in cahoots with the executive are now using it as, a whip of sorts to say, you want to show us that you're smarter than us. Yeah, out, out, out.
So for me, I think that, the principle of checks and balances, separation of powers have not been respected. And the essence you have, government. The reason why government is here today is because if you allow humans as free beings or,
chaos,
there's going to be, a lot of chaos, there's going to be chaotic, and that's why you have government. The essence of government is to bring order, rule, and all of that, and what have you. But of course, you know that power corrupts, and of absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that's why, the theory of government in the entire process, you have the fact that you have the three arms of government is not, it's not because one wanted to just have three arms of government. There's a reason for you having the executive, the legislature and the judiciary. There's a reason for all of that. There's a reason why you have the three tiers of government, the federal, the state, and the local government. There's a reason for everything. But over time, it's been seen that it feels like we have forgotten the essence of government. And those who tend to occupy, government offices or, either elected or appointed, really forget the essence why government exists in the first instance. It was so we could check the excesses. The executive can check the excesses. All of these are tools to check the excesses so people don't abuse that. But if you also look at the Constitution, especially Section 188 of as amended, you understand, it talks about the entire process, because I think that's going to be part of our conversation of the impeachment of a deputy governor. There's supposed to be a process, but then again, you ask yourself, do we uphold the process? Have we always done things the way they should be done? That has always been the issue, right? Just like you've said, people now use that as a tool, to abuse it and all of that. And I remember that in all of this conversation, people are saying, let's begin to rejig our government system. Let's begin to restructure the system.
How are we going to do that? You see, this is the question that I keep asking people when they say, oh, we need to, reframe the Constitution because the framers of the Constitution, yes, they had good intentions, but, our politicians have, found a way to, hijack it or, what do they call those things? I don't know, find the loopholes so they use it against us. But the truth is, even if you want to re-amend the constitution, who are the people that are going to? It's the same guys. You can never, as a politician in Nigeria, cut off your nose to spite your face. I mean...
So I totally understand that, because the constitutional process is not entirely dependent on us, you and I here, or, you know, the citizenry, but there are a stakeholder, major players in the entire process, and who is going to say, hey, for instance, a lot of people are suggesting that it is important, especially with the development in, you know, Edo right now. It's important that maybe, just maybe, vice presidential candidate just before the election and governorship candidate should be elected independently of the governor. No, I mean, these are suggestions. These are questions that are coming on board. And that's because I understand. But, you know, it begins to make you think. Because at the end of the day, if you impeach a deputy governor of a state, it therefore speaks to the fact that you are reversing the will of the people already. The people actually elected the governor. You are a team. So if you are impeached, but of course we understand what the Constitution talks about, you know, grievances and what have you.
We were going to go deep into this when, you know, we have our guests join us today. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're still talking on ways. I'm Mary Ann Okon and Mercy Bego is with me. Stay with us. You're still watching Ways. What are you saying? Don't forget, you can join us on our social media platforms to be part of the conversation. Every time we have these conversations, we want to hear from you because, indeed, the show is What Are You Saying? Now, the previous deputy governor of Edo State, Philip Shaibu, had a smooth working relationship with Governor Godwin Obaseki for nearly 8 years. However, their friendly relationship soured when Shaibu announced his intention to run for the state's governorship. The story reached its climax when Omobayo Godwins, a 38-year-old electrical and electronics engineering graduate, took Shaibu's position nearly immediately after a letter a letter of impeachment was sent to him. So today, we will be discussing the topic, Philip Shaibu's impeachment aftermath, with our guest, Honorable Shedrack Udubai. And when we open our phone lines, like I always say, we'd love to hear what you have to say. But first, let's look at what we found in the news. Mercy, I'll start with you. What did you find in the news?
It's a very controversial, you know, subject. It's about Pastor Paul Enenche and the testimony of a church member. I'm sure you probably saw that video.
I think I just literally just went over it, but
yeah. So it's a lot, but I'm just going to, you know, break it down and try to bring you up to speed, especially if you're not aware of, you know, what's going on. So, like I said, it's about Pastor Paul Enenche and the testimony of a church member. Now, Nigerians are demanding that Pastor Paul Enenche apologizes to a member of his church whom he disgraced at the altar and accused of lying. And, you know, the member mounted the pulpit to give a testimony. That was on Sunday, just Sundays back, April 14th, after successfully graduating with a Bachelor of Law degree from the National Open University of Nigeria on Saturday, April the 13th. However, in the middle of the testimony, Pastor Paul Enenche interrupted her and accused her of lying. He told her that she didn't sound like a law graduate, going by how she speaks. He also told her that there's something like a Bachelor of Law and demanded she leaves the pulpit. That's a lot of drama that happened, actually. But
Such an embarrassment.
subsequently, Nigerians found the woman's Facebook page, Trust My Nigerian People, and photos showing her graduating from the National Open University. But, there's been recent developments before, we get to the crux of everything. It's the fact that I think that happened today because there's a lot of pressure everywhere. So, Dunamis have actually put out a letter, an apology, apparently. So this is like a reaction to everything that's going on. Dunamis International Gospel Center, have their letterhead and all of that. According to, this letter, it reads an official statement on Ms. Ayim Veronica's testimony. That's what they call it. So they started by saying a scenario was created on Sunday, the 14th of April, 2024 at the Glory Church. But I'll skip all of that. They said these were the immediate triggers of the said incident. First, listening to the testifier's expression as it borders on basic spoken English conveyed the impression that the minimum standard expectation of a graduate, especially at the of law, was not met. Secondly, stating that she studied law for 10 years and begged the question of what degree she was actually going for. Then thirdly, she was unable to state exactly what the correct degree was for law, which is the LLB and all of that. I mean, the story is almost endless, but really, I think this is a statement, if you ask me. This is not an apology, really. Yeah. But looking at some of the facts, yes, I saw the video. I really didn't know where that started from because, those who actually control, who work in the media and church, sometimes they probably might not post the entire clip that actually went out. Really don't know where it came from, maybe from the church or it was from an individual. Because
most churches do live YouTube streaming,
live stream and
somebody
all of
must
that.
have screen recorded.
So, but we actually, for those who've seen the video, you probably would have agreed with me, see the part where she was giving testimony, and she was very excited about that testimony, really, really excited. She talked about having to break a jinx in her family where people don't graduate, and for her, that's a lot. But of course, she wasn't very articulate, trying to talk about the testimony and everything. Well, was that enough reason to say that was not her testimony? Was that enough reason to just say, hey, what again did you say that was? Because I watched it and really, if you ask me, it was really embarrassing.
And condescending, if you ask me to.
Yeah, it was really embarrassing. And as leaders, if we are doing the biddings of Jesus, if you're a believer of the Bible, for those who believe the Bible, right? If you believe the Bible, you ask yourself, would Jesus behave like that? Now, I'm sounding like a preacher, but that's the truth. Would Jesus behave like that?
Tell you that Jesus used to flog people out of the temple.
It wasn't in that. So I think that as leaders, especially when we're leading, we say we believe in a certain person, in the person of Jesus right now, you need to see the characteristics. Absolutely. There were times where they say Jesus was very meek, he was very compassionate. When he gathered, like 1,000 people were gathered 5,000, he was moved with compassion and he said, we need to feed these people. They are hungry and all of that. But one would expect that, given whatever it is, that correction shouldn't have been done publicly.
Yeah.
You can never tell the emotional maturity of an individual. I mean, if it were me, I would really walk out of the church crying.
And that's the end.
And that would be the end. I'm probably not sure I'd rather go to another church because, to really look at it, why? What was the basis of saying that?
Was it necessary is the question that I will ask. I'll tell you why. Because you and I went to the same university. You know that there are graduates who can't make a proper sentence.
I understand that.
Some people are very good at writing.
True.
Cramming and regurgitating exactly what, the teacher says. But then when it comes to spoken English, and that's not the fault of the university, I'm sorry to say. Because it's not in the university they start teaching you spoken English. They start teaching you spoken English at primary level.
Exactly.
And then they brush it up when you get to the secondary school, category. But then I feel like, I'm so sorry, with due respect to Pastor Paul and Nenche, it was unnecessary. You could have made a snide remark, but do it, like she said, with some level of, emotional maturity and say,
wisdom.
I'm looking at you with side-eye, this English that you're speaking, but congratulations. Do you understand? Instead of saying you're lying, what you're saying is that you've destroyed that woman's whole persona. Because what you did was in front of thousands of people. And if I know that church is a massive church, you've destroyed her persona. You didn't do your background check. If you had a problem, before you stood up from that seat, you could have Googled on the phone to see if she's really a person that has gone to school. And if she said she did 10 years, Some of us did 6 years for a 4-year course, and that's because Nigeria is a country where things just, you know, are like topsy-turvy. But I feel like as preachers, whether you're a Muslim imam or you're a pastor, there's just some things that are not expected of us, and you hurt her feelings. Tomorrow, if she says she's no longer going to church, you say, oh, but because a church is supposed to be where people are welcomed. No matter, Jesus said, come as you are. So why would you tell her that that English doesn't sound like somebody that went to university? You could have had that tete-a-tete with her and said, I really just want to confirm a few things. It's just, for me, it just doesn't make sense.
See, to be very honest...
We need to move on.
Yeah, we need to move on. I'm sure this conversation would always be endless, but for me, I would leave it here. We need to learn mercy. We need to learn grace.
Yes.
We need to learn kindness.
Absolutely.
And that's it.
I'm all for that. Now, what I found in the news, obviously, is that Nigerians are in darkness again. Oh. As national grid collapses for the 5th time in 2024. What is the problem? Some people will say, if you're from Calabar, they say that there's witchcraft that is hanging on top of the... That's on the lighter note. But let me give you some background to it. Nigerians have been thrown into darkness as the nation's power grid experienced another collapse in the early hours of April 15, 2024. According to the data obtained from the Nigerian Systems Operator Portal, between 2 a.m. till the time of filing this report, the grid recorded an unprecedented 0 megawatts at the time and is currently generating a meager 5.2 megawatts around 7:10 a.m. on the same day. The consequences of this blackout were felt nationwide as electricity distribution companies struggled to cope with the sudden, prolonged outage. Many parts of the country have been plunged into darkness for over 5 hours as the grid is yet to come into full recovery. I didn't have light in my house until I got to work, and it's very disturbing because in one breath, the federal government comes out, shouts out to Mr. Adelabu, who has told us that, oh, they need to increase the tariff because it's for those who can pay, and those who can pay will have more light. I really want to ask, have the Band A people really gotten light? Have they gotten the 20-hour light? 20 or not 24? And for me, I'm sorry, I put it again to the Minister of Power, that you cannot give what you don't have. We're generating a meager 4,000 plus megawatts, and half the time we're wasting it because you do not have the capacity to, you know, distribute this power. And that's because the machineries that you're using are so moribund. The process in itself of this privatization was done in a wonky way. There's so many things to it. You can't just wake up and tell me you're increasing tariff because you want to be able to prioritize Band A. What happens to other Nigerians? Do they not want to pay for light? I mean, let them pay. Give them the opportunity to pay for light. Give them their meters first. Let them use the light that they can use or pay for. When it finishes, you know that they gave you light, but it finished. But this problem of us always putting the cart before the horse, it really makes me sad that in 2024, Nigeria is not able to give 24 hours power. But look at Uganda. We go out of this country and then we're making noise that we're big brother of Africa. Small Ghana has 24 hours light. Uganda, I lived there for 1 year. Before they take light, they send a message and say, oh, something is down and we're going to bring back the light at so time. And they bring it back. Why are we still here?
So you see, you actually talked about, you know, some of these neighboring countries having power supply and we do not have. It would also interest you to know that at some point, Nigeria is also responsible for, you know, lending, borrowing or supplying power to them, however you want to put that. But also, the fact of also getting your funds back, that's a different conversation entirely. But like you rightly mentioned, we cannot give what we do not have, and that's absolutely true. Because even in this conversation, do you know that there's a possibility, because the electricity workers, the employees, the association, the union, they are threatening of going on strike. Yeah. And they are saying that we cannot, the argument here is that we cannot, you know, it's not feasible for us, it's not possible for us to provide 20 hours of power supply. That's because we do not have the capacity. So for me, it's like saying, these people are telling you that, God, we don't have,
there's no sincerity.
we don't have the capacity to provide power supply 20 hours, whether to Band A or what have you. And then the government, it feels like, and that's why I always say, there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect between the government and government agency. You can imagine the federal government increasing tariff. So what are you supplying? You're telling us to pay higher for what you cannot even give, you don't have. And like you rightly said, what's the challenge? The challenge is there. We're not solving the issue, because when you have a problem, you have to address it from the root.
From the root.
So we're not addressing the issue. The issue is about the fact that, most of the gas that we produce today in Nigeria, over 40% of it is fled or probably injected into the wells to produce more oil. And that's the issue. You also talked about whether we have the capacity to transmit. As it is right now, some people say, okay, how many pipelines do we have, or whatever it is, the facility enough to transmit this power that's being generated? Although we have the capacity to generate, but are we generating enough? And that's because there's a chain, there's a value chain of power. But we need to go because of time at this point.
Yes, before we go on that break, every year on April 15th, World Art Day celebrations help to reinforce the links between artistic creations and society, encourage greater awareness of the diversity of artistic expressions, and it also highlights the contributions of artists to sustainable development. It is also an occasion to shine light on arts education in schools, as culture can pave a way for inclusion and equitable education. We'll go on a break. When we come back, we'll be talking with our guest. Yes, he is a PDP chieftain in Edo State. We're going to delve into the politics in Edo. Stay with us.
It is with heavy heart, yet a resolute spirit, that I come before you to address the recent events that have unfolded within our dear state. I denounce in strongest terms the illegal impeachment by the Edo State House of Assembly over trump-up charges. This is not just an attack on me as an individual, but on the very democratic principle that we hold there. It is a dangerous descent into dictatorship and a threat to the foundation of our democracy. Let it be clear that this impeachment was hushed because of my ambition to contest the Edo State 2024 governorship election under the People's Democratic Party, PDP, an ambition that is a legal right to all citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It's a sad reality that in our political landscape, ambition is met with resistance, and those in power seek to silence opposition through illegitimate means. I have dedicated my life to serving the good people of Edo State with integrity and honesty. I have worked tirelessly to improve the life of our citizens. I've upheld the values of democracy and justice, and yet, in return, I am faced with baseless accusations and a blatant disregard for due process and rule of law.
Till April last year, Honorable Philip Shaibu was one of the most popular deputy governors in the country, owing to the latitude that Governor Godwin Obaseki gave him to operate. He called the shots in sport. For a long time, he was in charge of a large chunk of the revenue generation in the state because he chaired the committee that brought reforms in that sector. The politics of appointment and implementation of government policies in the North Senatorial District, where he comes from, were also his exclusive and his word was law. Now, under a split of hours, this mighty ladder fell off the ground, and this begs the question, what is the fate of Philip Shaibu? I think we already know what that is. But then, so tonight we're discussing the aftermath of his impeachment after watching that video and, you know, the message that he passed in it. He said that this was not just an affront to him and his political, you know, ambition, but also on democracy. Well, remember that you can join us in the conversation. We'd like to hear from you and your thoughts. So join us, to send us an SMS or send a WhatsApp message to 081-803-84663. That's 081, I beg your pardon, 803 84663. Send us a message. We'd like to read from you. My guest is an astute politician, a young mobilizer, and an activist. He's a former senior special advisor to the Edo State governor, and in December of 2023, he was appointed special advisor to the governor on youth affairs, making him the youngest special advisor in Edo State. He's a public affairs analyst, also a businessman, a chieftain of the PDP, and someone I would call my friend. Honorable Shedrack Udubai is joining us live. Honorable Udubai, it's so good to have you join us once again.
Thank you very much. Good evening. It's a very elaborate introduction.
Yes. Well, let's start by, and you and I have had this conversation for months and months, going back and forth on, you know, what's happening with former Deputy Governor Shaibu and his principal. Could this situation have been better resolved in a different way than what it had turned out to be, because this has become a total mess and a fiasco of sorts?
Yes, it could have been better resolved if the deputy governor had managed the situation properly, because we had enormous time to address the situation at a within closed doors. But because of the issues that bordered around his ambition, he wanted to become governor, I remember very clearly went on here and made some derogatory statements inciting the government he had served for over 7.5 years, stating some policies and reforms that the governor has made, and accusing him that they were antithetical to the interests of the people. It was a colossal waste. So for us, it wasn't relatively good, because you were all there all along. We had it rosy with him, and if the policies were not good, then you would have spoken up. Not now, because you want to run for office. You don't want to drag the government to the mud. You could have an aspiration and just campaign, state what you want to do and how you want to go about it. So it was during the course of the campaign, wanted to vie for primaries, that I made such a derogatory comment, and then the state member of the House of Assembly picked it up and then said it was a divulging government secrets under oath, and then a series of allegations were being meted of him. A committee was set up, it was investigated, and it was found wanting, and eventually was impeached. So that was just, so I believe if he had managed it properly, because of course he has been very close to the boss and they've enjoyed a very good relationship. So if he was wise enough to keep personal ambition aside and manage the process convincingly and conveniently, we wouldn't have gone through this route. Certainly we wouldn't have.
All right. Honorable Shadrach, I'd like to ask you, do you think that the entire impeachment process, you know, was followed duly according to the Constitution?
Of course. To the best of my knowledge, though I'm not a lawyer, but from what little I know, it was. And then the impeachment notice was being sent, though at first he said he had not seen it, but later confirmed that it was received. A panel investigation was set up. And if the process is faulty, then he could proceed to court to secure the mandate. This is not the first time a deputy governor is impeached and is reinstated. So if he feels that the process is in doubt or is in question, he could simply go to court and address it. And that option is fully available. But for me, on a personal note, the fact, so the allegations on which he was impeached is in public domain. It's not a thing of secrecy that one would say is not aware of or he didn't do it. So if he says the issue of the processes, he could go to court. But the issues of he didn't do what he said was done, of course, I can tell you that's a lie, of course.
Honorable Dubai, let me talk about the governor here. Many pundits have queried the governor and how he's handled this issue over the months and months that, you know, they started having problems. I remember very vividly when Philip Shaibu first came on TV to complain. His first complaint was that he followed the governor through and through from the APC to the PDP, and he hoped that his his members, the people he came with into the PDP, were going to be absorbed and made to feel at home. But that wasn't the case, which was the first problem that he had in the party. Secondly, he proceeded to say that they were not offered positions, they were made to feel like outsiders, and he had to speak out. It wasn't first and foremost that he wanted to run for governor. He was asking that there be a proper alignment of his people within the party. As a party chieftain, would you mind commenting on that?
Okay, let me give you the facts of that issue. If you look at when the governor moved from the All Progressive Congress to the People's Democratic Congress Party, they brought a condition for acceptance that while he will be governor, the deputy governor from the APC cannot follow him into PDP. Now, PDP should get the right to be given the opportunity to produce a running mate, a deputy governor. But this, the governor vehemently resisted and said he would rather sink or swim with the deputy governor. So when they came into the party, the governor was APC. Permit me to use those words so that you understand the context I'm speaking from.
We're listening. Honorable Dubai, are you still there? I think that we have lost connection with our guest. Shaibu Dubai is the Special Assistant to the Governor of Edo State on Youth Affairs. Hopefully we're able to get him back on the phone lines to have more on this conversation. But for me, Messi, I have constantly followed this story from when he started, from when they moved into the PDP. In fact, what is playing out now, which is the question I would like to ask the Honourable, is almost the same thing that Obaseki suffered under Shomole.
So it feels like what goes around.
Yeah, comes around. And sincerely, I really don't know what it is with godfatherism politics in Nigeria. And for Edo State, it's just been happening back to back, just like River State. It seems like a curse of sorts on them.
No, you know, and it brings me back to the conversation we had prior to this time, where we said, what exactly would be my, next question to him? What then again is the fate for joint candidature when these, sort of issues would always raise its head? Like we rightly know, those who actually occupy, offices, especially when you have governors and president, you have the deputy governors more like, or vice presidents, more like, figurehead most times.
They're yes men. Anywhere in the world, actually. Anywhere in the world.
And that's the case. So what does this really entail? How then do we, get away from this? How then
it's
do
not
we
going to
cut
happen.
this?
Do you not get it? It's everywhere in the world. The truth is, you're there more like an appendage. So if something, it's in the Constitution, it's like the vice presidents anywhere in the world, vice mayors, deputy mayors, they're yes men, they're an appendage. Yes, they are on the same ticket, but the governor is the one who has the right to pick his running mate. So it's not you saying, I want to run as deputy governor. The Constitution doesn't empower you. The Constitution empowers the governor to pick a running mate, meaning that you're at the mercy. And so whoever he picks has to be so loyal that if something does happen to him, he's capable of trusting the state into your hands, knowing that you have the same dream, the same perspective, which is what happened in Ondo State.
No, so the point here is this. If, that's the case, just like you have rightly stated, we're not saying that. How then do we, because the next question would be, is it wrong for him to have an ambition?
No. He has a right under the Constitution.
So then, where did he falter?
But then, of course, his boss. So you do have a right under the Constitution. Anybody, you and I, can decide today.
I
that we want to
understand
run.
that. So my point now is, where is it wrong to have an ambition?
But the nod has to come from your principle. It's common knowledge. Let's take, for example, Donald Duke and John Okpa, former deputy governor. He wanted to be governor, and there was a plan. There was a tripartite agreement between Donald Duke, Lieli Moke, and Gershom Bassi, and he knew when he went into that agreement on the ticket that this power will be handed over to Eli Elimoke. And then out of the blue, someone is whispering into his ears that, hey, go and run for governor after all, And once his principal said no, he still went ahead to do it. The rest is history.
So, well, I'm thinking that, with this, you already understand that if we say that he has a right to run for governor, as it were, he has a right within the Constitution. Of course, the Constitution says that everyone, within the age has a right to contest for an office, vote and be voted for, and what have you. Then where did he go wrong? How then can he, have an ambition within this kind of space. And
maybe that's the
and what
question you
have
need to ask the guests. Anyway, we'll take a quick break and bring back Shadrach Udubai to join us on Ways. Stay with us. You're still watching Ways, and we have been talking about the politics in Edo State and the recent impeachment of the former Deputy Governor, Comrade Philip Shaibu, and the immediate swearing in of a brand new Deputy Governor. And that's a conversation on its own, a whole different kettle of fish, and where the antecedents of this man, who's now Deputy Governor. Well, Comrade Dubai, so good to have you back. Mercy does have a question
thank you very
for
much.
you. Yes.
Very, very sorry for that breaking transmission. Now, I was trying to concern myself together. You asked a question on the deputy governors agitating against marginalization when they moved into the PDP. So I was trying to say that as at that point in time when they moved in, the governor was from the APC, the deputy governor was from the APC. Those are the new members that came in. When appointments were dished out, the SSG was from the APC, the chief of staff was from the APC, the deputy chief of staff was from the APC. All the top 5 executive members from the party were all from the APC that moved into the PDP. And they also had almost an equal share of members of commissioners that was appointed by government. So when you are talking about if people were not given a safe landing, I begin to wonder in which government. You can go and ask. These are verifiable facts. It was because the deputy governor was brought in, and he was the way manner the politics went. I'm from a donut. He's from a donut. The way the politics went was that he wanted his men, his principal officers, to occupy all offices, holding the structure of the party to the jugular. And that was one of the major reasons that led to the legacy PDP pulling out. That's why the issue of Danobi, the legacy that followed Wike in the last general election, and the few of them who went with the governor. So the Shaibu is one of the major reasons why the harmony was never gotten at that point. That initial point, because if he wasn't deputy governor, the PDP would have brought a deputy governor, perfect harmonization would have taken place. Well, because the governor insisted that this man had worked with me, had fought with me, we have struggled through the process. He must be a benefactor, even in this new party. It was one led here. And his people were giving more than enough seats within the corridors of power. So when he speaks of that, not giving the land, not giving safe land, or not giving accommodated, I can tell you without missing was a pure lie.
All right, Honorable Shadrach, I'd like to ask you, because this might also be very worrisome for those who probably would have, ambition in the future of becoming governor, especially when they are deputy to, their principal. So would you say that, the deputy, impeached Deputy Philip Shaibu was wrong in making public his ambition? And what does this really entail for a joint ticket candidature, knowing that the principal can always get rid of his deputy without a recourse?
Well, let me explain it to you. I've struggled to explain it on different platforms. I've been called to speak on this issue. The idea of the deputy governor wanting to run to become governor is a legitimate ambition. What we have here is a man who says, I am the deputy governor. I want to be governor, and the governor must support me. The governor has a right to say, I will either support you or not support you. The governor that brought in Governor Obaseki, there was a deputy governor in president of Osumbo, Sarime Osumbo, who wanted to be, who wanted to be governor. And Adams Ali Oshomole said, no, I prefer Godwin Obaseki to take over for me. And he worked for his interest. And Godwin Obaseki came on board. What we have here is a similar repetition. You have been with me. We are close. We have gone through the thick and thin. But I will not bring you. And the reasons were concrete. They were germane. They were sacrosanct. I will prefer that we bring a governor from Edo Central to bridge this gap of exclusion, to ensure that equity, fairness, and justice is perpetually enthroned in the political landscape. You are from Edo North. Edo North have produced 2 deputy governors. They produce 1 governor. Me, I'm from Edo South. Edo South has produced 2 governors and 1 deputy governor. There's a region called Edo Central. They've never had a deputy governor, and the only governor they've had only lasted for 18 months. For crying out loud. Even if Edo State is Philip Shaibu's village, he's not the only person in the village. So that was, then the way Amana went about it, every man can aspire. Well, what happened? How did you know that Philip Shaibu went to run for office? Was because he went to, he didn't even express his ambition. He went to court to obtain a restraining order, restraining the governor and the state house of assembly from impeaching him. That was even when I didn't even know. We only heard it from the corners that he has an ambition of, which I know, yes, every man has the ability to aspire. But to go through that route, we need to underpin the government you are in. We need to undermine the government you are in. We need to rubbish it. We need to sink it so that you can stand. It's irritating, it's not getting, it's something. It's not the right way to go about this. If you have an ambition, you will be bold enough to go out there, test the waters, and give it any candidate that's coming out of the party. We will vote for you. But this act of desperation, wanting to play this backhand politics to make us feel that the government is a bad and a wicked person, that he's the only righteous man of God, and if he does not get the ticket, those cannot prosper, is irritating, it is bad. I want you to also know that it is the prerogative of the governor constitutionally to pick whoever he wants to be the running mate. He can choose to pick anybody, whether it's a dummy or whatever. The calculation is that they said the governor was not voted alone. He was voted together with the deputy governor. But I dare them to say that was the general election. Before the general election, there was a primaries. There are 2 elections that before you become governor. You do a primary election within your party. They do a general election among the electorate. In that primary election, the governor ran alone and won. In going for the second election, he now picked this man, just as they have picked the new deputy governor now. It was so, and the constitution recognized as it's so right to pick whoever he pleases. So what we calculate, the lacuna we have here is that when people want to run for governor, they go and pick another person from another region to balance the ticket, to ensure that person is able to mobilize votes, and this ethnic sentiment is being carried along. That person who is deputy governor does not see himself as a collaborative partner with the governor. They see themselves as a governor to a co-governor with the governor.
Okay.
That is one of the major underpinning mistakes that will keep having Nigerian democracy, because the governor does not really bring somebody who he believes understands.
Let me come in, Honorable Udubai.
Yes.
Many pundits have also said that this is also the card that Governor Obaseki played with Adams Oshomole, and which led from him to move to the APC. So, I mean, they're saying that what goes around comes around. And just as he wanted it to go down well with Adams Oshomole, he should have also allowed the same thing to go down with Philip Shaibu.
You know what? The thing that is different here is this. At every point in time, that is why I'm confident of whatsoever happens, the people have the last say. It was not Godwin Obaseki that defeated Adams Ali Oshomole. It was the generality of Edo people. They moved against the interests and the candidates of Adams Ali Oshomole to support Godwin Obaseki, where he won overwhelmingly. Godwin Obaseki did not just fight God for that reason. It is the collective people of Edo that fought God for that reason at that election. If Adams Ali Oshomole was single-handedly picked Philip brought Godwin Obaseki in the first tenure, could not do it in the second tenure, tells you that people did not vote for Obaseki because he was being brought by, they didn't vote for Obaseki because he was brought by Adams Ali Oshomole, but because there was a social understanding that will support you. They see things for themselves, they understand the political landscape, and they make their decision. If the people say they want to Shaibu can also pick a ticket on that party, and he will run too, and he will win. And if the people say we perceive this man, Aswe Godalo, that is now the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, as not as an imposition, as a crony of the government, a surrogate, a man who is not fit, then the man will not win. So this does not make it look as though that there's one man that can make one man a governor. No one man exists. And if there is a man that can make a man governor, As deputy governor for 7.5 years, you are the second most strongest politician in the state. So who exactly are you not scared of? The governor that cannot come for third tenure? You are not scared of somebody we pick. When you have been deputy governor for 7.5 years, you practically control resources, access to power and empowerment, and you're making it look as though you are weak and somebody will support you. That is simply because of the style of politics he has played over the years. I'll give you some brief history. He ran first of all for House of Assembly under the AFPP. I'm talking of Shaibu now. He lost the primaries. He lost woefully. It was Adam Sali Oshomole when he was at then in the Labour Party, the National Labour Union chairman, gave him a ticket of the ACN. There was no primaries. He went used that ticket to go into the House of Assembly and became president. The second election he won under the coverage. Both of them are from the same local government. The man, as Shaibu was picked up by Adam Sali Oshomole and mentored to the roles of politics. He made it a House of Assembly member, made him House of Rep member, took him from there and said he was going to deputize Godwin Obaseki. After that, Godwin Obaseki took him again and made him a deputy governor for the second time. This is the first time Philip Shaibu is going into a race without a political leader or master or an overlord, paving the way for him. So when immediately he saw that Philip Shaibu will not be, the governor had signaled that he will not be enjoying his support, became jittery and decided to use underhand tactics.
Now let's talk about that now, Honorable Shadrach. Let's talk about the entire episode. What do you make of this whole saga? Do you think it would have any implication on the election?
Yeah, of course it will, because we've come to a point in life that we should stop playing politics for politics' sake. Politics is for governance. Governance take preeminence over politics. If your politics is not targeted towards giving the dividends of democracy, then you have no role to play in politics. While Edo people still have roughly 6 months to exit government, and the governor and the government in totality were working very hard to ensure that they deliver strong and they end up, they conclude on all their projects. This man, the deputy governor, was trying to derail the trajectory of the government, long even before almost a year before the end of the expiration of the tenure. And we're asking, you are in power. You've enjoyed power for over 20-something years. Why do you not want to spoil with the governors of it? For me, Edo people will know what is happening. Edo people will make their say. So for me, I just believe that the man, to Elijah said, was no longer pleased with being a deputy governor. And somehow, he played into the hands of the legislators in the House of Assembly by working against the Virgin government, making derogatory statements in public domain. And it was inside. And someone else has been giving it to us. And the person is grateful. And the people are happy that governors can at least continue with the zeal and the enthusiasm that the new deputy governor is bringing to office. You will be very assured.
So are you saying that you see divided support moving forward or moving towards the election? Will the support be divided, knowing that, you know, this...
No. Let me explain to you. When you talk about the support, that the addition of Philip Shaibu, I won't say he does not have support. I won't say he does not have the requisite capacity, but I feel it's overbloated, and I will tell you why. In the last election, when they ran in 2020, when PDP was the most popular party in the state, Philip Shaibu could not win his ward. He won his unit by barely 6 votes. And his local government, Esako West, was the local government we lost to the highest margin ever across the 18 local governments. When we went for 2023 general election, Philip Shaibu lost his local government presidential, lost his unit, lost his ward. For the House of Senate, he lost his unit, lost his ward, lost his local government. In the House of Reps, lost his unit, lost his ward, lost the local government. The House of Assembly, he single-handedly, quote me anywhere, he single-handedly picked the 2 House of Assembly members that will emerge from his house or from his local government. The 2 of them lost woefully. So if you ask me, if I, Shaibu, was to be a deputy governor with the quality of empowerment and power, the access to power that I have, I can literally pick somebody in my house, make him an appointee, give people contracts, help people. They can bring empowerment to the people. And yet, having been there for 7.5 years, the people in your immediate constituency cannot say rally around you and say, we love our brother and what he's doing for us. So you go to election and you are consistently being rejected at the polls. So the question I'm asking you, are you really, who exactly are you serving? If you cannot serve your people, your private constituency. So the calculation for me is that when you say he has clout, it's going to be getting some large escorts, he has police, he has the people he has given appointment to, who are all shouting hallelujah around him, and he has some resources. Let me tell you, resources is also a tool. If I have, for example, 10 million to depend politics or 20 million, 100 million, I will have a sizable amount of followership. Okay. Let's say a man who has overhead running to hundreds, almost tens and hundreds of millions every single month. So For me, you take away the cover that Saliu Shomle gave him while he was on APC.
Okay.
You take away the access to power and empowerment, the resources available to him as deputy governor. He is not a force in a donut anytime, any day. And we are not missing him for any reason.
Okay. I mean, just to add to what you've said, the APC in Edo State have said they don't want him. Please don't come here. Please, please, please. But let me move away from that and talk about your recent deputy governor who was sworn in. I hear that there's been some disquiet within your party quarters as to this guy not being a total cat-carrying member of the party, someone who came out of nowhere, picked to be deputy governor. Many people in the party have murmured about this, saying that, look, the last time this guy ran for governor, he was on the platform of the Labour Party. How do you bring an interloper into our house? Yet again, another party issue.
For us, what I keep saying is we prioritize governance over politics. If we are trying to bring home the dividends of democracy to ensure that majority of the people get access to quality service delivery, get access to government facilities, we should be looking at the people who can do it the best. There are good people in APC, there are good people in PDP, there are good people in Labour Party. And for the records, the man was previously in Labour Party and moved into the People's Democratic Party. I could give you a fact. When he ran in 2023 for House of Reps, he was a candidate, the candidate of the Labour Party in Akoko Edo. After he ran, and the election was knocked, literally robbed off of him by the All Progressive Congress, the APC, the man went back and said there's only one party he has possible alignment with, which is the People's Democratic Party, and he mobilized all of his supporters to work and vote for the People's Democratic Party. I'm saying it in public domain. He mobilized his force to support the candidate, because Labour Party at that point didn't have candidates for the House of Assembly. His support was significant in re-electing the two House of Assembly members that are from Akoko Edo today in the House of Assembly. So if he had worked for the PDP many of us over a year ago, and after that he was now being brought into the party, he now made some input in this the Benin master, the Edo State master plan. I had worked with him. I have known him even before he became deputy governor. Will you say the man could not be brought on board to work? He had worked, he was in Labour, he moved from Labour, he supported PDP actively. From PDP, he came into government and began to work as a consultant to support the program, the project and policy of the government. And now he's willing and ready to contribute further, and you are saying he's not a member of the People's Democratic Party. So I think the wonder, do you have a date that the man must be there for 30 years or 40 years? The Constitution gave a recommendation of not less than how many months? So the calculation of me is that they are just carrying foul, and because we are calculating people that have something to offer, political capacity, the collective will.
Honorable Shaibu, are you saying that it doesn't really matter, how it's done, as long as you get it done? It doesn't matter how you get the job done, but as long as you get it done, because you have talked about governance, you have said you care about governance, your party cares about governance, but it looks like your party doesn't care about what the rule book says, what the law says in your party. It doesn't care about
we didn't go against the law, we didn't flag the law. I told you that immediately after the House of Reps election in 2023, Omo Bayo Godwin, His Excellency Omo Bayo Godwin, worked actively for the People's Democratic Party in public domain. You can go and verify. And he has been working closely with this government right up to from 2023, February or March 2023. So what's your now? He's been appointed April 2024, and you say he's not a member of the party.
While he was working, did you say he was still a member of the Labour Party, or he was still a member of the People's Democratic Party?
Immediately after he lost his election, he moved into the People's Democratic Party.
Okay.
All right. Finally, let's talk about the upcoming elections, because they're drawing close by the day. You have three big, people who are competing for that revered seat of governorship. We have the Labour Party candidate who's a former NBA president. We also have in the APC another strong contender, including the person that your governor is supporting in the PDP. Again, how easy an election is that going to be for the PDP, knowing that all of these contenders resonate with the people of Edo State? Is it going to be an easy task? I know you can tell me that it will be easy, but will it really be a walkover?
No, when you say they resonate, I want to ask at what frequency. For us who are grassroots politicians in Edo State, the name Akpata, what's the first name again?
Olumide.
What's the first name of the Labour Party candidate?
Olumide.
Olumide Akpata. You can see from the name, the only thing we knew about him was former NBA chairman. It was even recently I got to know that I was from Edo State. He has not played politics. There's no strategic contribution from time memorial to show that he's from Edo State. And we've had governor, Edo South has produced 2 governors and 1 deputy governor. So I don't think it will not be time to give Edo South another governor, so that we have 3 governors, while Edo Central has none. No deputy, no governor.
Is it just about giving people from zones? I mean,
no.
We've seen. I'm so sorry. With all of the sharing formula that has been done, I was in Edo State when Adams Oshomole was governor. I can tell you for a fact, as a journalist, I didn't see what he did. But what if an Olumide Akpata or an Igodalo comes there, and the people are saying, we don't care where he's from, we just want a doing governor, a Toknadu governor. How about that? Because I think we've overly prioritized this issue of where you come from and representation, don't you think?
You may think we over-prioritize. But the question I want to ask you is that are there no competent pieces in this region that has not been given power over the years? And you can't tell me no. So for us, it's like using 1 stone to kill 2 birds. You bring a man who has the requisite competence and character from the region that are perceived to not have been given equal access to power and empowerment. So that we bring the most competent. For me, competence and character cannot be subjugated for any other characteristics. But you will not say that a particular ethnic group or a particular senatorial district has monopoly to competent candidates. If I leave him and I go to the Monde Okwebolu, what is going for him? Remember, I don't want to jump the gun because the campaigns are not started officially.
Exactly.
But I'll just do my brief introduction. For the man who is running around the APC, of course, what is going for him is his goodwill. I've heard that the man has engaged. Of course, I'm fully aware that he has done some level of philanthropic gestures in time past. And because of the quagmire we had within the party, the people, that's why people swayed his way and they made him senator. Fine and good. But to become governor, he goes beyond buying provisions and food items and creating borehole, as he said, and we need someone that has the requisite competence. So for me, from the last time I even watched, I was thinking it's going to be an evil match. So the person we are bringing, Aswe Godalo, who is a seasoned technocrat who has worked, who has spoken beyond majority that I have what it takes to manage both man and resources. So for us, there's no competition there. What we need to present the candidate and let the people choose.
All right, we have to go. I want to say thank you. Honorable Shedrack Udubai is the special advisor to Governor Godwin Obaseki on youth affairs. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
Well, we want to thank you all for being part of the conversation. Don't forget, this is a conversation that involves you all. In other words, we'd like to hear from you when we have these conversations. But before I go, if you missed today's quotes, let me take it again. The genius of impeachment lay in the fact that it could punish the man without punishing the office. And this was said by Arthur Schlesinger. So I'll see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring a great conversation back to your screen on Waze. But before I go, I want to say thank you to my very gorgeous co-anchor.
Oh, thank you so much. As well, thank you.
All right, well, enjoy the rest of our programs. Have a good evening.